This is NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee, coming to you from the Oshner Health Podcast Studio out here in Irvine, California. Pretty soon we're going to be in Arizona for the preseason opener, and we're going to get you right for that game. We're going to talk about the guys who are okay to not be okay and those who are not okay to not be okay. So we're going to get into all of that and more, who needs to stand out, who we're going to see, who we're not going to see, all that. We're going to break it down and get you ready for that opener. And if you need to get there, why not try driving and buy a car from Matt Bowers? Check him out at one of his many locations all throughout the Gulf Coast region. He has the best cars at the best prices and the best customer care. And sign up for our website today. Use the code CAMP24, 20% off your first payment. It's $9 a month. Throw that code in there. It takes it down to $720 for that first month. I promise you it is worth it. We work our asses off to make sure that we're earning your money every single month and that it's the best investment that you can make it. And it is an investment. It helps us put on the show, helps us do the reporting. It helps us be on scene everywhere, bring the whole crew, put on these shows. So support us so that we can keep bringing great content and take our game to the next level. And like I said, we'll see if the Saints can take their game to the next level in Clint Kubiak's offense. So stick around for that breakdown right after this quick word from our wonderful and fantastic sponsors. Oshner Health inspires healthier lives and stronger communities through a combination of standard-setting expertise, quality, and connection not found anywhere else in the region. To learn more about how Oshner empowers people to get well and stay well, visit oshner.org. Long live you. The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out.
Choose your lucky symbol. Play beginner's luck. Win up to $5,000. Let's Taco Bout Bingo. Play Taco Bout Bingo. Win up to $50,000. Looking to triple your cash? Play Triple 777. Top prize of $177,777. Play the new August games from the lottery.
Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. Their agents are born and raised in the area and understand our community's unique needs and the homeowners insurance crisis our residents are currently in. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. They know your time is valuable, which is why they work diligently to provide you with the quotes as soon as possible. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. When we couldn't find someone to insure our house because of the big oak tree growing over top, Chabert worked until they found someone that would work with us and give us the protection that we need to feel safe in our new home. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. All right, let's get into the show.
Welcome into the Oshner Health Podcast Studio here in Irvine, California. I'm Brandon Thomas, joined by Nick Underhill and Mike Triplett. It is now time for our first segment presented by Aaron Rose. Look, today was the last practice going into the first preseason game. The offense was a little sluggish on the field. Do we think we're going to see the starters play?
We'll see. I mean, it wasn't the only thing that was sluggish out there. I mean, it was just kind of like a low energy day a little bit. They got it going, though. I mean, the offensive line I thought was shaky. We're going to see the starters play. I think we will see the starters play a couple series. I think we will see the starters play a couple series. Yeah, I mean, look, a couple's maybe a stretch, but at least one. I think we'll see him play at least one. I think they got to go out there. They got to go through Clint Kubiak calling in a play to Derek Carr in a huddle. Derek Carr taking Clint Kubiak's language, telling his teammates it, them lining up, them running a play. at some point you have to do that in a game situation. You can simulate it out at these San Francisco practices or whatever, but it's not the same thing. Like, you have to do it, I think, in a game just to make sure that operation's working smoothly and it's normal.
All signs point to yes for me, even though Dennis Allen won't say. I think after we saw last season, they played one series. The starters played one series, but it was in the first preseason game. And we came away, I think they started the season really slow, and we came away thinking they probably should have played more than that. So there's no way I think they're going to play less.
Yeah.
And so the question is, okay, would they wait till week 2? Well, week 2 doesn't make a lot of sense because the 49ers are coming into town. And normally when a team has joint practices with you all week, it's physical, you get tons of reps in, and then they're like, we saw all we needed to see. We got to do red zone. We got to do, short yardage. We got to do goal line. We got to do hurry up. They don't need a preseason game. So I bet they don't play next week, which means they play this week. We also saw a walkthrough today. That sluggish practice was very heavy walkthrough. And guess who was out there on the field for heavy walkthrough? The starters with the crowd noise pumping in. Why are they practicing with crowd noise if they're not going to play in the game? Man. So all signs point to the starters playing. And even Derek Carr, who said in the past that, hey, I don't need the preseason. I don't really like the preseason. Said, I want to play in the preseason. I want to hear Clint Kubiak in my ear, just like Nick said and everything. So I'd be pretty surprised if they don't play. I would be shocked if they don't play at any point this preseason. And I really think it's going to be in this game. But, in and out, no game planning, nothing too fancy. I still think we'll see motions and shifts. We saw that on the first day of minicamps. Yeah. But the all eyes on what this game means will probably come after those guys leave the field. Not for everyone, but, we don't need, Derek Carr and Chris Olave aren't fighting for their lives. There are other guys who are.
Yeah, I think there's some guys, too, that we'll see play deeper deeper than that.
Fuaga, Penning, Fuaga, Penning.
Both those guys, I think, need to go. Whoever the other guard is opposite Cesar Ruiz, I think should probably play a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Maybe even do like half and half and see how it goes with Udo and Lucas Patrick and maybe Kyle Hergel, like whatever, like whoever the guy's going to be, like just cycle them through, see what it's going to look like. I think there's probably a couple guys on defense too that could see heavier snaps.
Safeties. Jordan Howden for sure.
You might want to see Alontae Taylor do a little bit more. I don't think Kool-Aid's even close to him, so I don't think it's even close to being a competition there right now. But like just reps, I don't know. I don't know if he needs them, but if he does, like it's not a bad idea. Some guys on the defensive line, I think, could use some extra reps. I'll be curious to see how long they play Chase Young. I'm just coming off that injury. Like, are you saving him or is it ramping it up? Like, I don't know.
I wrote my preview and I predicted maybe a ramp up here. I mean, they've been careful with him so far. I don't think they'll unleash him in a preseason game, but he probably dip his toe in the water
a little bit. Yeah. Does Brzee need more snaps? Did any of the injured guys get back out there? I think it's fascinating that DA's kind of like drawing a real hard line. Like, he's basically, and it's just telling people the truth. Like the truth is, hey, if you aren't practicing, you aren't going to make the team because we don't see you. And if you're on the fringe, like we haven't seen enough. But like he's not even tiptoeing around it. Like
it's like a 3-minute answer. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the truth though. Like and I like that he's just being, hey, this is what you need to do to succeed. This is what the team needs to see from you. Get out of here, play. I really wonder where Kendrick Miller stands right now with this team. I think I'm not saying it's likely, but it's on the list, right? It's on the list of possibilities that he might not make this team. Like it's tough right now. Like how many running backs are they going to carry?
Right.
It's one of those things we were talking about locks, near locks, whatever's on the last one. Like Kendrick getting cut wouldn't make my head explode. Like it'd be almost, I don't know. It's almost
a huge disappointment.
But it's within the
realm of possibility.
It's an extremely plausible. Yeah. Like if somebody wrote this, you wouldn't be like, oh, that couldn't happen. Like that movie's outlandish. Like no, it'd be a very believable movie. Like maybe it's the start of his like villain arc and he goes and destroys the league with somebody else. But like it's something that almost like I don't know how he's making the team right now without seeing him. He needs to get back quick.
Without getting a chance to practice for 2 weeks and play in like 2 preseason games. Yeah, I mean he better show up next week. I mean he's running out of time. What about the guys who will play? Is there anybody else in Kendra territory, like perform or bust? I mean,
A.T. Perry.
That's an obvious one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We're going to get kind of more into the Kendra-like thing later in the show. But going back to this first preseason game, like you just previewed, who are players that you kind of more so need to see out there besides A.T. Perry? Like who on the defensive side do you need to see?
Like in terms of
Like, for instance, Shemar Jean-Charles is getting starting reps right now because of the injuries. Do you need to see a lot from him for him to be able to stick around? Not just him in particular, but players like him.
Who's on that list? Who's on that must-perform list?
Him, Rajon.
I think Jordan Howden's on it. Okay. I mean,
he's going to make the team.
He's going to make the team, but I mean,
he's starting if Simmons
it's show up time. Yeah,
he's starting if Simmons don't get signed though. Like, Simmons get a pick today too. I mean,
yeah,
I know, but like Simmons, Simmons is like, I mean,
he
could affect Simmons' price. You know,
that's well, okay. Yeah. That's an interesting. Yeah, I mean, if the safeties play terribly, I mean, yeah. No, that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
And that'll take us into our next segment, presented by Hard High Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. Simmons, he came in last night for his visit. He left. No deal. So, Nick, kind of continue on what you were saying about where that situation is.
I think there's just a difference in value and length. I think that's kind of the issue right here. It's interesting that he came in for the visit. I think he does. All indications I got from many places is that like he does want to. He would, he's interested in the situation. I don't think it was just show up, not interested in it. I know the Saints are interested in him. It's just, he's 30, and I think the Saints don't want to commit super long. And if you're Justin Simmons, like, you want that commitment. This is your best, tomorrow you're only older. This is the youngest you're ever going to be for the rest of your life. The younger you are, the more money you usually get, better chance you have to negotiate. So I think he's probably in one place, there in another. They want short term. He probably wants a little bit more security. We'll see how it works out. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, he's been looking for a while and hasn't found what he wanted. So does he find it somewhere else, or does he have to flex? Do the Saints end up flexing? Do they meet in the middle? I think it's just going to be a little bit of a process, but it sounds like things went good overall. It's just kind of that just a little bit of a difference in where things stand with them. But yeah, it's interesting. Like, if they go out here and they're terrible at that position, I mean, and look, I don't think they will be. Like, I think Jordan Howden's okay. I think he'll be fine. There's signs of him being good at various times throughout his young career, but yeah, I mean, if it's not working, or if it's they're giving up deep plays or whatever, maybe it does affect his price.
All right, I mean, you guys both very enthusiastically, and I mostly enthusiastically said, look, he's a special player, he's a difference maker, pay him. Like, you saved all your money all summer, but this guy's worth paying. But where do you draw the line? Like. We were talking in 1 year terms earlier. Like, we were saying, would you go 6? Would you go 8? Would you go 10? Like, when does it become that's too much? And when does years become too much for you? What's your max? If I'm not, a negotiator doesn't give up his max, but I'm asking you to give up your max. What's your line where you let Justin Simmons walk away? What's too much?
I would commit more on a 1 year deal than I would. Like, my average annual value on a 1 would probably be willing to go higher than I would on a 2.
Especially if you're guaranteeing it. So would you go 1 year, $10 million?
I think.
Would you go 2 years, $16 million? Both too high?
I'd probably do 216 if I had to. In 1, I think I would probably. C.J. Gardner-Johnson got $9 million a year. Like, if that's what it took to get Justin Simmons in on a 1 year deal, like, I would probably top that if I had to on a 1. On a 2, I don't think I want to be committed like that. I don't know where this team's going. Like, I don't know where it goes, and I don't know. It kind of seems weird to kind of draw that line there on it, but like, I don't want to be committed to any one direction for too long. Now, it would, because if he was a little bit younger, I'd be willing to go longer. Because like, then it's kind of like, okay, here's you got Tyron for another year after this, and then you can kind of shift into somebody else, and then maybe you're trying to bring in a young person behind him or whatever. And I would like that because you're setting up as a vision, but like, this just seems to be like, and he's not really old, but it just kind of feels like tying him more to that like final wave core as opposed to like building the Pete Werner core that's coming up behind it. And he's just on a different timeline from where I would feel comfortable being with it. And I don't feel like they're close enough to really do like a 2 year thing. Like, if you're trying to just figure it out for years, see if you can win the division, see what happens. You look at Tampa, get in, win a playoff game, almost won a second playoff game. Like, if you're just trying to catch lightning in a bottle for a year, fine. But like, if it misses, I don't want to be tied into like this any longer than it needs to be.
2 doesn't scare me too much. It kind of reminds me of the Alvin Kamara conversation while we're talking here. Like, 3 scares me. any money into the third year. 2 doesn't scare me that much. It's the DeMario timetable. It's the Tyron timetable. It's what we agreed we're fine with an Alvin timetable. And 31-year-old Justin Simmons being a core member of your team next year doesn't scare me. Like, I don't think he's going to be broken next year, and he's a man of the year type of guy. I think he's going to be great for the locker room. So 2 years doesn't scare me. 10 million,
the price on
10
though,
million,
right?
10 million a year is the part of this. Like,
Yeah.
So if he wants the 2 and he'll agree to the $8 million a year or less,
Yeah, I'm all in on that.
Then I'll be like, yeah, I'll do that for a couple
Yeah,
of years.
I'm all
maybe.
in on that. Yeah, it feels weird to like pick nits over $2 million.
But we've been so proud of the Saints for showing
Yeah.
restraint that
Yeah.
we don't want to see him blow it all in one signing.
I feel weird that like the 8 to the 10 is kind of like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. But like, I don't know. It kind of does do that a little bit. It just doesn't feel. I don't want to be committed to that. Like, if this doesn't work this year, like I want them to have that $10 million to spend on something else. Like, just start over. Like, just start over at that point if it doesn't work. But yeah, I mean, 8. I don't know. I feel so stupid that that's the difference for me, but it really is.
Yeah, 10 all of a sudden changes it. Like, part of the reason we love the deal so much is, hey, they played the market smart, and now this guy's can be had at a discount.
Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking, is he only 5? Is he only 6? Once he's 10, like, it's like, yeah, they didn't sign any 10 million players in March. Why should they sign a 10 million player in August? You know,
Yeah. Real interesting. But sticking with money, let's go into our next segment presented by the Louisiana Lottery. Pete Werner, he got extended today through 2027. Deal worth up to $8 million per year over the next 3 years. Kind of, where do you think he is? He was challenged earlier this offseason. Where do you think he stepped up to that challenge and going forward? Is this a deal like helpful for him, helpful for the Saints, or, even on both sides?
Yeah, look, I think we talked about earlier this offseason, the Saints do this a lot. They did it with Granderson and Ruiz last year. They did it with McCoy the year before that. And him and Adebo seemed like the 2 potential candidates for this. And I thought, I think the Saints should feel comfortable investing in Pete Werner because I think his floor is so high. Like, I think the ceiling could be way higher, and Dennis Allen said that today. But I think he might reach that ceiling. He's shown glimpses of it this summer. But the floor doesn't scare me at all. I just thought Pete Werner might be like, no, you know what? I'm finally going to break through, so I'm not going to get paid now while my value is low. Mm-hmm. They ended up at a number that I don't think I can declare a winner, which means they probably ended up at the right number. Like, it's a little more than I thought Pete Werner would probably get. Mm-hmm. But I think if Pete Werner has the kind of season we think he can, he probably would have got more on the open market. So a little over $8 million a year. I definitely don't mind investing in a 25-year-old guy who has shown the ability to be a centerpiece of this defense. I think it's a nice piece to have. Like we said, they got so many older guys on this team. Pete Werner is going to be a part of whatever comes next, no matter whatever next is. I think I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, he a couple of years ago, he had a bunch of injuries too. So like, it's smart for him, I think, to take the money while it's there. When I first seen the numbers on this, I was like, wow, that seems like a lot of money. Because it's close to like top 10, but then you look and Caden Ellis is getting $7.1 million. So Pete Werner at 8.3.
Yeah, they had to give him more than Caden. They had to. They couldn't walk. Yeah. They couldn't show up with less than Caden Ellis' money.
Yeah. 8.3 isn't bad for him. It feels like that's kind of where the market's at. It's a little bit less than DeMario Davis, which is kind of crazy.
That doesn't count. DeMario should have made double his salary every year for the last 6 years.
Yeah, but like I think it's fine. I think it's a fine deal. It's really kind of a credit to, I guess, the offseason he's having. I was a little bit surprised. I wasn't surprised Pete took it. I was a little bit more surprised that they signed him to it because like it felt like such a deliberate path to bring in competition and challenge him and get him to increase his level of play. Dennis Allen just said it at the podium today that both he and Werner would admit that last season wasn't good enough for him. Mm-hmm. You got a handful of practices that have looked good. You haven't seen it in a game yet. I was a little bit surprised that they did it.
At this price. Like I thought maybe they'd try to get a little discount. Like, hey, we'll sign you for 3 years, $18 million or whatever. That's what I thought it would look like. So they paid him as if they expect him to be at a higher level this year.
For me, though, like the whole last 6 months told us they weren't. The commitment was very loose. So I was surprised on that level that there was any. I thought they were going to battle the whole season and just kind of see where it goes from there. Like, he's clearly been ahead of Willie Gay all offseason. There's clearly a different level of player here, I think. But I thought it was going to play out when we'd see it at the end of the season. And I don't think his price would have changed that much, honestly. Like, I don't think he's getting Patrick Queen money. So like he would have been somewhere in that range, I think, regardless. I don't think that there was I don't think either side really. I don't know. I feel like it probably ended up where it was probably going to end up regardless.
Yeah, I don't think they got him at a discount. Yeah. I don't think they got him at a big discount.
And I don't think he got overpaid either. Like I don't know. It's just the timing of it is really surprising to me because it just kind of does. It really does run counter to kind of what we saw. And then he's hurt. Like
he's hurt right now too. That is the funniest part of this whole thing. I mean, obviously the signals they're not too concerned about that injury.
And it obviously signals that he's won that linebacker job. He's going to be the other starter.
Yeah.
It kind of tells me that Willie Gay is not part of that part of the mix. So I don't, I'm just kind of, I don't know. I was surprised that it happened the way it did, but I don't think it's a bad idea. Like I like him. I think he's good. I've always thought he was good. I thought last season was down. I don't disagree with that at all. But outside of that, he looked like somebody that was, playing with a lot of potential, and hopefully he kind of cashes in on that now that he got this money.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like the kind of camp he's been having, he was in the running for camp MVP, but then the shoulder kind of derailed him at that point. But hey, if he getting paid like that in the day where he's not on the field,
big week for Cathedral High School in Indianapolis. Shout out to Saints PR staff for providing us with Olympic facts every day. Pete was on a relay team with the dude who just won the 800 gold medal for USA, that dude with the long hair that came back from behind to win it. He used to be on the same relay team. It's a big week for these guys.
Yeah.
Winning. They winning this week. And you should be winning this week by signing up for NewOrleans.Football. If you're in here right now, you're already in here, so you know the benefits that come with that. But if you're not, make sure you do that. We're going to hit a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue to cover the preseason game and more. Keep it locked to NewOrleans.Football.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana. They were founded in 1980 and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. And Total Maintenance wants to show some love to our NOF listeners. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. It will never increase. Total Maintenance has a tune-up special running this summer for $79, down from the normal price of $179. This is a one-time offer for one system only. They also offer a free diagnostic on second opinions on units deemed to be unrepairable. And they offer free estimates for replacements as well as commercial maintenance programs. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. Martin Wine and Spirits is home to a selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and much, much more. They are family owned and operated since 1946 and specialize in wine, spirits, gourmet food, gift baskets, catering, and tasting events. They have many locations, so they're never too far away. You can check them out in Metairie, New Orleans, Mandeville, and Baton Rouge, or if it's more convenient, you can always shop online. Whether you're a wine novice or a seasoned collector, you'll enjoy the Martin Wine and Spirit experience.
Shrimp Remoulade combos are back at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. Zesty shrimp remoulade served with fried shrimp, catfish, or soft-shell crab starting at $10.99. Or try one of our spring specials, catfish lafitte or lemon caper fish with crab meat. Now at New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company.
There's nothing quite like the feeling of stepping into your dream home. At Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, we can help make that dream a reality with a team dedicated to you. When you partner with Jefferson Financial, you do so for the life of the loan. Having a single point of contact when questions arise is invaluable. Our experts are here to guide you every step of the way. There's no better time to invest in your future. Apply online at jeffersonfinancial.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Welcome back to the Ochsner Health Podcast Studio here in Irvine, California. It is now time for our next segment presented by Shawbear Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Let's get back to the practice field from today. Look, Haener and Rattler, basically we're going band for band out there in the 2-minute situation. Hurry up. They almost kind of couldn't miss. Sometimes receivers dropped the ball, but they were slinging it. They were slinging it. And you could check the article from today to see the heat map on where they were hitting and where they weren't. But the heat
map's on fire for both those guys. It's just like a piece of paper that was lit on fire.
Yeah,
that's the heat map.
I mean, Haener was 9 for 10 today with the one incompletion was a throwaway. Rattler had great numbers today. I think he had 3 drop passes.
Mm-hmm.
So his day was. Let me get the actual numbers up real quick. Where is he? Rattler was 7 of 12 with 3 drops. All 3 were A.T. Perry. 10 of 12. So kind of, with those, you got him in his completions. Both those guys were killing it today. They were absolutely killing it today. Rattler's 48-second drive, like just down the field, had a penalty, brought it back. Like he's hitting passes down the field. He's slinging it into the end zone. Each one
better than the next. There were 3, as you said.
He had one on the run. Yeah, he had one on the run. Like he had to move out of the pocket, hit it up the sideline to A.T. Perry. That was a great play. Hits the 2-point conversion to give the Saints the win. The situation was that they needed a TD and a 2-pointer to win the game. He did that, and then Haener had 1:40 on the clock to go down the field. I'm not really sure why it was different. DA was asked, didn't really explain that too well. But he went down the field 6 of 6 and goes down the field, scores. I mean, the pass to Samson Nakua and the catch by Samson Nakua. Yeah, I mean, he was under pressure, put it up. Nakua went up and got it over the defensive back. Incredible play. Both those guys look great today.
The wide receiver battle, back to our lead topic, like half the receivers are going to be out in this game. Mm-hmm. Mason Tipton, unfortunately, is one of those guys that you got to be on the field to make the team. It's a big disappointment that we're not going to see him in this first preseason game probably. Equanimous St. Brown has been out, but Means has been out. So these guys that were catching those passes today, if Kevin Austin Jr. makes catches like he made on that drive from Rattler, if Nakua makes more catches like he's made ever since he joined the team and in the end zone on that, if they do that in the preseason game, they make that a really interesting back end of the field. Stanley Morgan Jr. is hurt too, so there's big opportunities for those receivers. But look, Rattler had probably his best day. A few days ago, we were in here talking. Was at the end of last week when, 15 of 18, 15 of 19, whatever it was. But that drive was the best thing I've seen from him all camp. I mean, he had to be inventive. The offensive line wasn't killing it on that drive. He looked flushed on that one, and he made that throw. The anticipation he showed on another throw. We saw Rattler looking at a spot, and then we found out later, that's the receiver that's about to get open, and he's thrown it. I mean, it's the best. The 3 straight throws, or 3 out of 4 throws, were 3 of his best 5 throws in camp. It was awesome. And then Haener was like, I'm not going to back down from this challenge. Nice. Nick wrote that it's probably been the most entertaining thing to watch in camp, and Chase Young is probably the only other candidate for that. And I think it's going to be the most entertaining thing to watch in the preseason game too.
He's got a list of things that would be the most impressive day, man. There's a list of candidates. I mean, this guy just keeps getting better and better. It feels like he keeps topping himself. I mean, he had the day where he was 7 of 8 with the one incompletion was a throwaway, and he threw 6 touchdowns that day or something like that. Yeah. I mean, there was that day or 4. I don't remember what it was. It was a crazy day. 2, 4. Yeah, he had 6 touchdowns that day. They were doing red zone stuff, but I mean, he's had a lot of really, really, really good days. I am incredibly excited to see him in this game. I want to see what he does. I want to see if he can keep this going. If he looks and shows everybody what we've been seeing in these games, I am going to be interested to see the fan reaction. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah,
he's gonna be playing behind. That's one thing we don't know for sure. I bet it goes Haener and then Rattler. We think just based on how they've done it, it was always Haener got to go first. It was Rattler's day-to-day. I don't know for sure. They haven't told us or whatever. But if he's working with a third-string line and whatever receivers they have left, I mean, he's going to have a challenge.
Jake Haener's someone to be excited about, too. Yeah. I mean, he's had an incredible camp, too. Like, today he was awesome today. Yeah. He's been awesome a lot of days, too. And, like, Rattler, he's just the physical gifts and everything. Yeah. And the actual, the potential with him just makes him more of a talking point. But, the actual right now in this moment, they're both playing really well. Haener's fun to watch too. He plays with so much. There is he throws the ball with the chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. It's bigger than a chip. What's bigger than a chip on his shoulder?
It's unbelievable. And
you see boulder
on his shoulder.
You see the attitude, and how he plays and the competitiveness and just you can just tell he's out there, and every time like Rattler raises the bar, Haener's like, no, I'm not letting this happen, and he's coming back with like fury, and the fury I think elevates him to different levels. Like his competitiveness is awesome to watch. Like it stands out. You see it, and it's hard not to, I don't know. You watch him, and it's just like, all right, like it's exciting to watch in its own way, but like. Rattler has some physical gifts, man, that are just kind of crazy.
The expression, actually, Cam Jordan gave it to us earlier, is extra dip on that chip.
Sure. There you go. But like y'all said, like besides the Chase Young masterclass of defensive technique and eyes being in the backfield and all that, this was the most exciting part of camp so far because Rattler, you kind of got a preview of it in the red zone drills where, they were hitting the cooler and stuff like that. It was like, oh, man, good to see that this is happening really in the game time type of situation. But when they went to the 2-minute and Rattler drove down the field and he really had like that command where that pressure really wasn't getting to him at all. He got frustrated at certain points when like maybe something didn't look right on the offensive line. But besides that, he was finding people down the field. And if you really look at it, the people that he had been throwing to throughout camp, they're not really there anymore due to injury. Like they're not really, Tipton main targets like that. They're not really there anymore due to injury. So just being able to watch that and then Jake say, all right, that's cool. Let me show you what I got. And him going down there, getting the tight ends involved. Like it wasn't the play of the day, but the one to
Kevin Rader, 88.
Yes. The one to him, that was really good.
Showed up the last couple of days.
Really good. And then even when he threw it to Dallin Holker, and Dallin Holker lowered his shoulder, you're not expecting him to be physical like that. So that infectious kind of energy is permeating throughout the offense. And then both of them being able to get down there and get the 2-point conversion, you can't ask for anything better than that. You really can't, I'll be honest with you.
No, it was awesome.
Yeah. And when Rattler scored, he had 12 seconds left on the clock.
Facts.
48 seconds.
Yeah.
Took 36 seconds to go.
Yeah, that's what
And he had a play come back. Like a bomb down the sideline, he had to come back. I think there was like holding or false start or something on the
they did a
right
10-second run
on the right side of the line.
I just said, man, look how much time, boy.
Yeah,
it was a lot of time left on that.
The only harder throws of the day were Derek Carr throwing the ball away in frustration when he got sacked 3 straight times on the last one.
And that's where I was going to lead into the first team offense. Kind of what did the offensive line show today? I feel like they kind of took a step back, particularly on the right side.
Yeah, I mean, well, the right side was bad the day before too. It's an issue. It's an issue that I think that's the thing really to keep an eye. I mean, man, that the 49ers practices I think are going to be telling. I thought it was notable today too that DA said he's not willing to sign off on Penning yet. So
of course, how could he be?
Yeah, I know. But I mean, look, I don't know what's going to happen there. Like it's got to get better. It's got to get better. Like, is it possible for it to get better? Yeah, I think it's still possible for it to get better. There's some days that are okay. But there was a 9-play series yesterday where he was on the wrong end of 3 of them. Like that ratio doesn't work. Being on the wrong side of 3 out of 4 plays, that ratio does not work. So something has to improve kind of quickly there. I know the offense was better overall for a handful of days, but like when you're doing third down work like they're doing today and things kind of get isolated a little bit more and you're in a 48-second situation and the play action really isn't believable and you aren't going to run it, like the blocking changes and then what happens? And there was a lot of stuff like I think the situations kind of highlight some of the things, and this is where the concern would be. Third down, what can you do? Passing situations, what can you do when you got to take that 5-7 step drop? And it wasn't good enough today, like just straight up. So we'll see how it improves. There's always a possibility that like on 1 of the 3, 2 of the 3, whatever, like running back didn't pick someone up or something. Like we don't have the film to kind of assign exact blame for all of them, but like being in the general vicinity of 3 crimes probably makes you a criminal, in a court case. So typically, even if it is somebody else, if you're there 3 times, there's a pattern here, and it's not good.
Well, we need Trevor Penning on Saturday night to give us some reasonable doubt before we convict him. Just enough reasonable doubt. Maybe.
From a coincidence
maybe
to a
innocent.
conspiracy.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You got to watch who you hang around, man. You can't. But even in that, there was like after you could kind of see like the old Penning kind of peek his head out because after a play he was heated and he took it out. And
he got in a fight today.
Yeah,
it wasn't a scuffle. It was a fight.
He threw his helmet.
Helmet ended up.
Willie Gay would. I didn't see how it started, but the part I got a good look at, Willie Gay would not let go of Trevor Penning's helmet, and he was almost like pulling it, like he was not letting go. So Penning was going full haymakers, man. He was going full haymakers trying to get Willie Gay off his helmet.
Mississippi mud wrestle, man. That man was ready. That man was walking around with one of those goose feathers in his helmet. I said, "Oh man, this cat here."
I'll give Willie Gay credit. Like going after Penning, like for real. Like that's the last dude I'm trying to fight on that team.
For a second, I wondered, is this a good sign? Like Penning's feeling it. He's getting into fights.
Nah.
I don't know.
Remember when he was getting into a fight every day? I'm glad that's over.
Yeah, definitely glad that's over. But I mean, hey, he ended up going back in with the threes, and it still was like, man.
There's still I'm not going to close the book until it's done, though. I'm not going to close the book until it's done.
So many reps this offseason. How can he not improve?
I'm worried about it. In the sense that I was always worried about it, and I haven't seen enough to be totally alleviated. There's been a couple times, and I will say that. I mean, there has been a couple times where I felt like, okay, like it's clicking. And like we said, there's going to be good days and bad days. Let's see at the end of this where the accumulation is. I'm not going to. There's no award to jump into the conclusion right now on day 13 of camp, but I will say that the trajectory, I don't think is pointing to in at an angle that provides comfort. And it's highlighted. It's highlighted. So
the biggest reason for optimism remains what it's been since February, which is this scheme. I mean, this is the scheme you want if you want to mask offensive line weaknesses. We were just talking to Derek Carr off to the side after practice, me and you today, and he was talking about not only does he think the run game and the play action game can help mask some of that, but also being out on the move like more than he's been. He's not going to just be stationary in the pocket. This scheme is not going to let him just stand back there and get killed. We'll see if it works, but that's the best way to get past the deficiency they have at right tackle is Clint Kubiak and company have to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Now it's time for our next segment presented by New Orleans Hamburger and Seafood Company. We previewed it earlier. The injury list, it's getting longer by the day. And it's going to affect a lot of people's ability to make the team come Saturday. So the list, I mean, it's long. You got Lattimore, Paulson Adebo, Ugo Amadi, DeMario Davis, Isaiah Stallbird, Pete Werner, Rashid Shaheed, Mason Tipton, Stanley Morgan, Equanimous St. Brown, Bud Means, Kendre Miller, Nick Saldivari, Shane Lemieux, Trajan Jeffcoat. And then on top of that, you had, I mean, that doesn't really like injury thing, but you had Cam and Tyron sit out today for.
But I wonder if that they
days.
had maintenance days today. I wonder if that means they're not going to play. But that's 15 guys missed practice, not counting those guys. 15 guys you listed with injuries. And I think all 15 of them, plus probably Jalen Ford, who returned to practice today. That might be 16 guys who can't play.
Just give a number one pick on the list. One name only. Pick who's your guy at the top. That like in the terms of this, who is most hurt by missing this game? Who's your number one guy?
Well, it's Kendre, but we already talked about him.
Facts.
I'll go. I mean, it's no matter what it is, it's a receiver. Mason Tipton, Equanimous St. Brown, Bub Means. I think Mason Tipton, they need these games to win that job, but he has enough credit in the bank. I'll go Equanimous St. Brown. Like, there was an opportunity here at receiver. His injury came at a bad time.
Does Mason Tipton have enough credit in the bank?
No, he has more than these. No, I mean, I think this could like
he could. I mean, like if what we saw from Kevin Austin Jr., if he had done that earlier in camp, he'd be the if
Nakua's done it every day.
If Tipton if Kevin Austin has 4 of those days early in camp, kind of the way Tipton did. Like Tipton had probably like four great practices, and then it's kind of been like moments, right? Like if Kevin Austin had done that early in camp and then got elevated to the ones and then started making a catch every other day, like Tipton did, like the trajectory could be different. Like I think Tipton
can't miss all 3 games.
Tipton has better skills, but I mean, like he's allowing somebody at least to enter the conversation where I felt like he had a close.
It probably hurts him the most because he had the most to lose.
Because
some of these guys might not have made the team anyway, but if he played like he practiced, I think he was going to make the team. I don't think he can afford to miss games.
Exactly right. But your pick is, I agree with it as well. Like Equanimous, he had motion early on, and he's kind of lost it, and it's kind of like he's in that out of sight, out of mind category completely. I don't know what he could. I mean, he's gonna have to come back and be a monster to make the team.
Yeah.
And Bub Memes that's. you mentioned them is the other one. I'm with you on that too. I would have those 3 guys next on the list, no doubt about it. Where are you going after that? Is there anyone?
I mean, Ugo Amadi, did he need to show up in games to like, I'm worried about his roster spot, but obviously they know who Ugo is. That doesn't mean he gets to stay on the team, but I don't think they need preseason tape to evaluate Ugo Amadi, but he's a guy who has moved. Like, I think if I did a 53 right now, he wouldn't be on it.
No, because
I mean, you probably need breakout performances to change their mind.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you got Alante ahead of him in the slot. You got Kool-Aid ahead of him in the slot. The other safeties are getting more reps with him. So, yeah, that's a good pick. Saldivari, I think Saldivari next for me. Like,
Me too.
I don't know that he's getting cut, but he's not earning a role if he isn't on the field. And man, like DA's feeling towards these guys being injured is just I feel like some of that frustration.
Yeah, Saldivari is in the
Kendrick
Miller category, who's lost the most already.
Yeah.
He's already lost the most. I don't think I don't think Saldivari can win that job away now from Lucas Patrick.
They wanted him to be a starter, and he fell off. Who you got?
St. Brown is number 1 on my list. I mean, he's going to have to come back and be Randy Moss.
He has been working out with the trainer the last 2 days, so I have a feeling we might see him back Sunday night or Tuesday and throughout the 49ers practices, but it might be too little too late.
That's what I was about to say. That might be too little too late. Of course, Kendry is circled and highlighted and Sharpie, all of that. Tipton, man, he was having such a good time out there. Out of sight, out of mind is the great way of like describing this whole thing, because pre-practice we're always out there, only at NewOrleans.Football, only out there making it happen. Tipton,
I thought practice started late today because Mason Tipton wasn't out there.
That's what I'm getting
I'm
to.
like, wait, is there a text I missed?
Exactly,
practice isn't started?
Exactly. Equanimity St. Brown used to be out there first, had to be like 100 balls out the judge machine, throwing them into the garbage can. Then Tipton started doing it. Both of those guys are not there anymore, and it's just quiet. It's quiet out there. It's real quiet out there. But, man, you really would have loved to see Tipton be able to go out there and showcase his work, because he's been putting in the work. But those injuries, man, they're just starting to catch people and bite them. Back to Saldivari. I kind of got a preview of this during minicamp when he had left, and I was like, wait, this cat leaving already?
Yeah.
Like, he kind of needs to be here. And then it was during these training camp practices where he left again. You see him walking to the back with the help of the trainers. And it's like, you hate to see it. You hate to see it, because this was the time to shine. And so now that other guard position is kind of in flux. I mean, Lemieux, he all of that type of stuff. The Saints really can't afford to have any offensive lineman not be at their disposal to be able to put out there.
That's fair. Yeah, no, they need to look at all of them. Yeah.
Now it's time for the Martin Wine & Spirits question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked Barrel Select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's, so much more than just wine. Today we have 2 Martin's questions. The first one comes from Saints Guy. Saints Guy asks, has Willie Gay lived up to your expectations so far?
I guess the word expectation probably needs to be defined a little bit there, because
yours.
No, in some sense, because like I thought it'd be a tight competition with him and Werner, but yes, in the sense that I think they got a really good third linebacker. If Demario Davis ever missed a game, I would feel fine during that game. Like that, they would be able to get by with him. If Pete ever missed a game, I would feel great about that situation. I feel like him and Demario would be a great combo. I think he's been a great leader on the team already. Like they do this initiation where there's these up downs and defensive players come and got to do 40 of them. And the other day, the Mike Rose was doing his, and he got to 24, and he was kind of slowing down a little bit. Willie Gay does the last 16 with him, is like cheering him on. Like to be a new player to already kind of be in that type of role is something that stands out. Who you heard about him is that he's a great teammate and
the juice guy. Man, right? The juice man.
Yeah, they need that, and I think he's brought it. So
shout out.
In some ways, I think he's exceeding expectations. I think like the false idea of him and Werner kind of battling out and who's going to win it, I don't know. Like that was maybe an unfair expectation from the start. But if he came in and got Werner playing great football, good enough to get an extension, like that's a huge win. But I think he's been a great addition to the team. I think he'll continue to be one. So I would say, yeah, he's he's met and probably exceeding expectations in a lot of ways that you would want him to.
Yeah, I agree with the way you phrased it. No was my first instinct because there is no competition with Pete Werner for the starting job. He's a third linebacker, but they upgraded the third linebacker spot with him. The other thing I would add is every time Dennis Allen or Michael Hodges has been asked about him, there's always a little qualifier in their answer. It's always like, yeah, I love the way he flies around the field. He makes great plays, but we still need to see him be a little more consistent or a little more sound in his technique. Or I'm putting words in their mouth because I don't have it right in front of me, but there is we still need to see this element that we keep hearing with him, and the fact that they never even gave him a chance to compete for that job with Werner lets you know that there's still something he has to prove to them. But yeah, I think the best third linebacker they've had here throughout this, like he has the potential to be better than Caden Ellis, Zach Bond.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it.
Upgrade over that.
Yeah. And when they play Jalen Hurts and he
very important.
Yeah, and he takes care of that. I think it's all.
I meant to ask Carr today. Carr scrambled today in the red zone drill from about the 6-yard line, and he had a nice clear path for about 4 yards, and then Willie Gay was going to meet him around the 2, and hands up, can't hit the quarterback. Yeah. But I think Gay would have got him. I think Gay would have stopped him. It was going to be close. Maybe Carr had a spin move in him or something. Maybe he would have dove. Maybe they would have rolled in.
Even if you don't stop him, if you get that hit on the quarterback, it's going to affect him later.
Showed he was in the right place. His eyes were in the right place.
Yeah. And that's what I'm kind of most excited about. See who the red hitters are. See who's not scared to go make contact. You know what I mean?
Gay's a guy who could show up in this game.
For sure. Because a lot of people, they go out there, they start arm tackling. Nah, proper technique. Yeah. Get in there and get the guy to the ground. The next question is, if the Saints were to sign Justin Simmons, where would he fall on your Saints roster ranking?
All right, so I got the list up. I mean, to me, I'm penciling him in one slot ahead of Tyron. Is that fair? I mean,
I can't put him ahead of Tyron.
Not ahead of Tyron? Is he or right by? I mean, like I think the comp there, Tyron's 1 year older. Simmons was second team All-Pro last year, and Tyron. I mean, the difference is Tyron's a leader in this locker room. He's been in this system for 3 years now, or whatever. But don't you put him right? I mean, isn't that the caliber of player that we're talking about? We're talking about the same kind of money. We're talking about the same kind of PFF rankings. We're talking about the same kind of All-Pro recognition.
You're not wrong in terms of skill, but Tyron brings a lot to the team in terms of mentorship, and different things like that.
Of course. But so does Simmons. I mean,
he does.
Simmons was like their man of the year. He was like their media winner. Like, I mean, he really feels like a Tyron type to me. And that is one thing we talk about all the time when we do these rankings. And guys come in from other teams. It's like the guy gets ranked higher, and he would have to earn that credibility from covering him. But I think that's the kind of player is we all had Tyron around 6th or 7th on our list, kind of back and forth with Derek Carr, with Alvin Kamara. I think that's what we're talking about. Still ahead of Granderson, still ahead of Adebo. Like I think that's where he'd be.
And I could end up like it could flip flop this season. Like I had heard Simmons' name this offseason. I watched him. Having studied Tyron for the whole season. Like I think Tyron had a better season than him. And I'm looking up the PFF right now, and they have Tyron top 10 safety. They have Justin Simmons ranked 55th.
Oh shit. Pardon my French.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think he's still a good player. I think he's effective. I just don't think he's. I mean, I just couldn't. If they had those same seasons in this,
we would have known it. We would have known. I'm going off reputation. And I did not study.
We're talking about the possibly the best secondary coach in the NFL, being the head coach of the Saints, and then Joe Woods, great secondary coach. Marcus Robertson, great secondary coach. If you give Justin Simmons all that support, like maybe it changes. I mean, I know they got, good coaches out there in Denver too, but like this system, it kind of highlights them. So like there's circumstances to it. I wouldn't call Justin Simmons the 55th best safety in the NFL. I think he's way higher than that. But like, I do think Tyron was maybe a little bit more effective in his defense than Simmons was in his.
But is he in that next year? I mean, he's still ahead of the, we had drastic different.
Remind me of the ranking.
So we had Marshawn 1, Olave 2, Kamara and DeMario were tied for 3rd. Tyron was 5th. McCoy and Carr were tied for 6th. And then we had Taysom 8th, Adebo 9th, Shaheed 10th. We had Chase Young 11th. We're already moving him up, but
yeah, we moved Chase up. I would probably throw him behind
McCoy and Carr, right in that.
I'd probably throw him behind Taysom.
Well, we also disagreed on.
You said Taysom, then Adebo,
ahead of Adebo, ahead of Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah,
in the top 10.
I throw him behind Taysom and Adebo. I kind of
behind Adebo.
I'm sorry, behind Taysom, before Adebo.
That was 8 and 9.
And I would probably I would probably. We haven't seen him in a game, so I don't want to be a hype beast here. Like
Young?
I'd probably slot Chase ahead
Chase
of
Young.
ahead of Simmons.
Ahead
still.
of Simmons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the more exciting addition for sure. Chase Young.
Yeah.
Man, these could be
What about you? You
Me?
agree?
Because Chase Young moving up the list too, so it's
Yeah,
two people.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah,
just
yeah.
Simmons, it's two people. Taysom, just his ability.
You had Taysom like third or
That's
whatever,
right.
didn't you?
Just his ability. It's hard to throw him out of the top 10. So he'll stick there.
So back half of the top 10. Back half is the answer to the question.
But Chase Young, depending on what he, like you said, not the hype, but like if he goes out there and he does what he's kind of previewed, he would easily jump into the top 5 for me.
I want to see him against a different tackle. But, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I want to see him against like
He
Trent
throws
Williams,
people around,
somebody
though,
like
man.
yeah, top tier, league talent.
Yeah.
Show me what you got. It's okay to play with the small, not small fish.
I am more
And-
excited about
yeah.
what Chase Young could be for this team this year than I would be about what
Because
Justin
we're seeing
Simmons
it.
could be.
We're
Sure.
seeing it. So
And
it's-
again,
yeah.
the Justin Simmons. I mean, we try not to, but I mean, we have Alvin and Demario and Tyron all in our top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, you get credit in the bank.
For
Like,
sure.
Chase Young's next.
Yeah.
Chase Young's next. Justin Simmons is. I've been all pro 4 times in the last 5 years.
Right.
Like he's done it. That doesn't mean that's where he is now, which is why he probably doesn't have the contract yet.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of NewOrleans.Football. We appreciate y'all for stopping in. If you're not yet subscribed, make sure that you're locked in going into the first preseason game because I really have a feeling 2024 is going to be a very exciting season. So make sure that you're along for the ride with NewOrleans.Football. Overtime is next. Catch you next time.